stretch the muscles on my back, and my neck hernia is driving me crazy. So for a while, for a couple of more days, I'm stuck to small projects like temari. Anyway, the Christmas is approaching, and just a matter of couple of months, I will need to have at least 100 tamaris for my customers. So I decided to make another Christmas temari today. This is the standard kiko that I usually make. I make hundreds and hundreds of them every year. The heat of the sales. So I have to make them. And as I mentioned earlier on other temari streams, I make this on simple 8 division with no equator, because I don't like equators on this kind of tamaris, because when I do the obi, the equator stands out. So I usually, instead of the equator, I mark it with a stitching when I stitch the meridians to the equator, and that stitch is actually the equator itself. It's more or less. Okay, so first we mark the equator points. I don't know, camera probably will last today. It's quite cold outside and inside as well, so my camera probably will stay longer than 36 minutes, probably 40. And I hope I will make, well, at least most of the part of temari. So I marked the equator part. And now moving to 8 division. So I marked half of the meridian into 4 pieces. That would give us 8 pieces to 8 meridians in total. The red one is the beginning. I usually don't do the color code because I've stitched so many of them already, so I never do the color code. Just only start with the top, bottom, and the beginning on the equator. These are the main color codes that I use. So that I know where I start the stitches and everything. For the red one, I use the dark green as a markup. For the blue temaris, I use a kind of the neon green, more like salad neon green, with also the sparkles. So they're slightly different. I'll just, the last one I made have been purchased recently, so I cannot show it. But probably next time I will show that on the dark blue. So I'm setting up the equator, all the markup pins. Even thought that my pins are looking in different directions. There's still the center point where they pinned to the mari are exactly the same. Maybe this one just sliding off. So that's it. I've got the markup done, and well, I placed the pins, and now we're moving to the markup, to the division itself. And got the needle here. hopefully next week when I got my neck sorted, as I'm going to the therapy and with stretches and exercises and painkillers. I'll be back to carpet weaving. So I got half of the warping done and another half to finish. So starting, I usually do from north to south pole. I place the thread to the right of the pin, and from south to the north to the left. This way the threads are placed evenly. I'm gonna show you now. So when you spin the mari, all the threads are placed at the same side of the pin, just like this. Stitch at the pole. And here's Rudy. Almost gave me a heart attack today when he swallowed a wasp, and I started running around vomiting the blood, and I was scared that he got something wrong with his stomach. But it turned out he swallowed either a bee or a wasp that bit him in the throat, and later he had the itchy ears and he got his nose swollen. So he's the hero of the day today. And place, oops, sorry, forgot that I'm not doing it. Usually use either this pattern, this division, or the simple combination 8. So I got mixed up. So for the equator, I stitch the meridians, just a small back stitch. So when I need to measure something, I take the stitch as the equator. Get the needle as close to the pin as possible. Pull the meridian right. Now I can cut this off. I'll first secure it with a couple of stitches around the equator. If you need to finish the thread and you're using obi, always finish the bind off the thread at the equator so that obi can cover it later. And here we go. The distance that I use is 1.5 centimeters. I definitely should have one markup. Use the copybook for the math, just because I got enough squares here, and one of them is always at the markup line. So I'm using 1.5 centimeter, which means three squares, and I mark it up. Because usually this 1.5 centimeter is enough for me to make 9 rows of the stitching. Plus it gives me about 1 centimeter of, well, maybe 9 millimeters of space between the petals to make obi. It's just more than enough. As you can see, I use the stitch as the equator mark. Now to the main stitching. If you're a beginner, you can watch the video with the pins that I usually place. Well, you should start with pins around the poles. But since I've done so many of them, like I'm telling you, like hundreds and hundreds every year, I don't really need to do any markup for that. I just do it, calculate, as we say, by the eye. It's about 5 millimeters from the pole. Do the deep stitch into the base of the mari. The first stitches always have to be done really deep, so they are not only grabbing the final layer of threads, but also the woolen base. This way your needle doesn't slide, so that means that the stitch doesn't slide when you remove the pins. So you can see, if I don't grab it too deep, the needle is walking. It's like it's shifting along the markup, but if I grab it really deep, it stays in. So this is what we need for the for the first couple of stitches. But even later, you still preferably to use it to pick to stitch through as deep as possible. It's camera jumping. I guess I don't need to place my elbows on the desk, which is slightly difficult with my hernia still hurting me. Again, make sure it doesn't, it's okay if it goes up, but it's not down below the required length. You can see it's sliding, so I need to grab some more layers at the bottom. Again, stays firm. That means you're doing everything correctly. Now, usually some people do the jump between these two meridians, stitching back and forth, but I don't like it because as a result, there's a little bulge that's forming here. So I prefer to slide it from one meridian to another. So instead of going back to the red, I will slide next to the white one, just 1 millimeter apart. Anyway, when I fold it up, it will pull a little bit. Again, as you can see, it's sliding. So I pick a little bit deeper, the needle stays in. That's what you have to aim for, both at the top and at the bottom. Doesn't slide. That's perfect. So the first two rows in stitching here are made in gold. Then I'll make another 1 row with red. Then I'll make 3 rows with light blue and 3 rows with white, and we'll create the perfect Christmas star that sparkles like a fresh snow in the frost on a cold day. A little bit of blue and a little bit of green on the tree and a little bit of gold for the Christmas tree decorations. So it's really, as I said, this is one of my popular colors for Christmas, because everybody's, all my clients are customers and asking for exactly the red ones. Some are asking for blue, so about 60% of the temari that I make are these patterns. Of course, there's some other patterns as well, different colors, different forms. Also, another one that is quite popular is the golden red shikaku on the green base, but I can't find the right color of green in bulk, so I rarely make them, but still they're also quite popular because it's Christmas time. So gold, red, green, white, it goes all the way. Everybody's asking why you start stitching, because in July is that I can make probably 1 or 2 maris per day, and probably I will take a couple of days off when I can remove that one, because they're already secured and they're not sliding. They're stitched perfectly and they can stay like this, because when you have to make 150 of simple ones and maybe probably 30 complicated that are on combination 8 or combination 10, they require more time, couple of days. So I usually start in July making as many maris, the Christmas color themed ones, as possible. So then starting in October I can do the more complicated patterns, like, just let me get, oops, patterns like this, something that requires a lot of stitching, or something like this. There will be lots of videos on making these maris as well. I've made the video for this one. I think, I don't remember if I made this one. This one I made for sure, but I made it for the small maris. If you want, I can repeat the video making it on the CD8 division, but generally it's just the same. So, as I said, I have to make the batch of this. And this is the special temari. This was the first temari that my daughter made. So this is a very first own temari, and I keep it. These kind of shikaku are also quite popular. So I have lots of things to do. That's the personal batch. Something that I place on a Christmas tree, on my own Christmas tree. And there's about many boxes to make for customers. As I'm trying to buy the land and build the workshop where I can fit everything, because right now I'm sitting in a small room, which is about, I don't know, 12 square meters. where I can have to fit everything, including my lace, including my stash, including looms. So it's not that much space. So the Christmas time is the best time to earn some money for the crafter. Otherwise, it's a dead season for everything. Christmas and Novruz, which is the Zoroastric New Year as well. These Mari are going getting quite popular for the Novruz holiday as well, because it can replace the colored eggs that are usually just like Easter eggs, and but eggs are getting spoiled very fast, and tamari can last for years. So now I've done 3 rows of two gold, 1 red. Now I'm starting stitching the light blue, which will give us the 2 shades of snow. I usually, just for the video, I'm making this whole thing as one set, and I will switch to another one. But usually, to make it faster, because I do 2 rows of gold, then repeat it on the other side, and I do a row of red on both sides, and so every color is repeated at the same time. So I may finish this part and switch to another side, but it takes a bit longer for the video for the stream. That's why I'm making everything as one go, without jumping between the both poles of the Mari. Oh. The needle went under, something that I preferably not to do. As you can see, this Christmas star is actually started appearing, and after the second or third row it will be more vivid and more bright, and after adding the white color it will be the final pattern, just like this. This has actually got the same color of green, but I don't have this in hands, because I'm just moving around rearranging the stash, and I lost the skein of that vivid, like neon green. Again, switching to another equator. Sometimes you get the meridian pulled. Just stitch it a little bit to the right and place it back to order where it should go. Yeah, hopefully I will finish this part of the Mari by the end of the stream. It's only 24 minutes, so I've got another 15 minutes left. So I'll show you the result as it looks, how it looks on the red. I've showed it on the blue. And I'll show you on the red. Rudy's huffing and puffing, wants to go outside, but he just had his dinner, so he's another half an hour before he can go out and chase birds. Luckily, bees are asleep. He can chase birds and cats and bats, just like a hunter should do. As I said, I hide the tail at the meridian at the equator. Make sure you don't skip the meridian. You finish, you start where you finish. And when you finish the thread, he's not happy. I'm not talking to him. I spend the whole day giving him antihistamines, and he demands more attention to him. So he's huffing and puffing around and pushing the chair. And that's it, I finished with the blue one. Again, as you can see, I'm hiding all the threads at the equator, where any leftover pieces will be covered by the obi. But usually when I pull the thread really tight, I don't know if you noticed on the camera, I pull the thread really tight, so when I cut it, it just dives in back. The tension pulls it back and it stays inside. So I have to finish this one. Now I have to find the last row where the needle slides through easily, and to the right or to the left, it's up to you. Now as you can see, I've got about 2 more stitches will end up here, and I've got a ½ centimeter left for the obi on each side. So obi will be about 9 millimeters thick, which is just perfect. And also I prefer to make the hanging loop the European way, so you can see both the kiko and the obi, instead of Japanese like that goes like this. So that will be how I make the loop, the hanging loop. There is also videos in the tamari section, in tamari playlist. You can have a look at them. And once I finish with this batch of small and cheap and simple to make, I'll switch to more complicating ones. So I've done already a couple of balls like this, and it will be like this, but on a bigger surface. There will be videos on that hopefully in September, when everybody's back from vacations and ready to start crafting and get themselves ready for Christmas fairs. So there will be busy time. And so far I'm doing the routine work. Sorry, camera is jumping, but I can't I cannot do anything because my back is hurting, so I have to recline on the desk so I can support my weight. That's why the camera is jumping. Well, I'll do my best. Now, as you can see, the pattern is already brightening up. So a couple of more stitches of white and it will be absolutely gorgeous. And with Obi, obviously, it will be green with gold. For the decorations and sparkles and everything. Make sure the stitches are laying flat and in order. And just as I will add the third row, you will see that what's the difference one row makes. It's already time to finish this, as the sparking thread already splitting and leaving pieces, so definitely should be replaced. Like 2-3 stitches at the equator to secure the thread, and we're almost done with the one side of the body. So exactly the same procedure will be for the other side, and there's a video in the tamari playlist with the obi, both wrapping from the single thread and wrapping it from the skein. And again, I find the thread with the row that we have finished. Now look at the difference. Now I add the third one, and look how bright this pattern shows up. It's already got the full volume. If you want, you can go for another fourth row, but I prefer to make it 9, because extra wide white and thick white layer will actually what's the word for that? It's not fading away, but actually kind of suppressing other colors, and it will be just plain white. So all these colors will disappear. I've tried that already, so this is the optimal 3-3-3. 2 rows of gold, 1 row of red, 3 rows of light green, light blue, and 2 rows of actually got that ran away. I got the knot around the eye of the needle. And actually I have to pull it away here, because that would be the fourth row that I was talking about. And I said fourth and started stitching it without finishing the third row of the second part of the keyhole. This is what I was talking about. These leftovers. First of all, you hide them between the layers of final finished thread, and then it will be covered with obi. So that's it. The Christmas temari is ready. They're identical, but just because the base of the mari in different colors, they look different, but actually they're exactly the same. Well, I guess that would be it for today. The only thing I have to do is repeat exactly the same on the other side. Again, remember 1.5 centimeter from the equator to start the bottom part of the kiko, 5 millimeters at the top, at the pole, 9 rows, and you will get about 9 millimeter obi. You see, as you can see, this is what I was talking about. There's no stitches nor anything. The thread from the for the obi runs smoothly around everything. And if I would do the obi, it would stand out like this. I mean the equator, it would stand out like this. That's why I avoid to using it. It just, unless the actual markup line for the equator is a part of the pattern where it should stand out, use that. Well, thanks. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Bye.